Hey everyone, hello! Welcome to Project Weight Loss video number 3. If you're new to me, I'm Sherry Capella. I'm a certified project manager and Christian life coach, and I help women most specifically lose weight. Most specifically meaning right now in my career, I am helping women to lose weight. So today I'm going to talk to you about video number 3 that I'm coming to you live to share tips on weight loss. So don't touch, that's hot please. The first 2 videos, you're hungry? Do you want an apple or a banana?
I already had an apple.
All right, when I'm done, I'll make you a sandwich. The first 2 videos, we talked about some of the things, that you need to do in order to be set up for success with weight loss if you are of a certain age, at least a certain age range. So in video 1, I talked to you about how to be set up for success as you start out to lose weight in your older years, in your afternoon of life, if you will. In the second video, I talked a little bit about, when you're 35 and plus and you're dealing with perimenopause and entering into menopause, you need to pick a weight loss program based on different variables because you're not who you used to be when you were single and you were able to just easily, what are you doing, Capella? He knows he can get away with it when Mama's on a live video. Are you getting a granola bar? Huh? Yeah. One for Jillian. Wow, he's sharing, so bonus. So in the second video, I taught you, you're not who you used to be when you were 25 and you needed to lose weight, like that. You're a different woman. So that was the second video. So if you didn't go watch, okay. If you didn't watch those, I encourage you to go back and watch video 1 and 2. But this video number 3, is all about, this is the hard one, okay? This is about the hard conversations that you sometimes have to have with yourself in order to get to a point where change can actually become a possibility. Because you and I know that at this age and stage of your life, you are set in your ways. We like what we like. We don't want to stray from it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to be uncomfortable. So I have 7 questions that I help women with in my coaching program all the time on how to get real with themselves so they can get out of their own way to make weight loss possible. Here are the 7 questions. So in order to, it doesn't matter what meal plan you choose, but in order to be successful, you need to get real with these 7 questions. The first one is, what excuses do I have in my life? So your excuses are the problem, the hindrance to your weight loss problem. They're the why I can't do it, the obstacles of your life. For me, I had all kinds of excuses. A lot of them had to do with the fact that I didn't like prepping. I didn't want to spend all that time in the kitchen. I didn't want to do all the things. I hated working out, especially because I had to cook and I had to work out. I didn't have time for all of the things. So I had a lot of excuses and a lot of stories that were causing me to be my biggest obstacle to weight loss. So what excuses do you have that are keeping you from losing weight, from doing the things that are necessary to lose weight? The second question is, girl, I'm not kidding you. Just how lazy are you? Because the reality is this, I had to get real with myself on how stinking lazy I was. If The Bachelor was on or it was the night for Downton Abbey, I didn't want to prep for tomorrow. I didn't want to do whatever I had to do. I didn't want to get my workout clothes ready or, whatever. I had all kinds of excuses because even though I hated how fat I was or how overweight I was or how uncomfortable I was, I more craved being comfortable in my dysfunction on a daily basis to do the thing that I liked to do. I was so lazy. So you need to get real and honest with yourself and ask this hard question. Am I lazy? Do things need to change? Mother yourself. If you saw your child being lazy and their bedroom never got cleaned up, you would be able to identify that they're lazy. You can identify that in yourself. You're just not asking yourself the right questions. The third one is, do you quit everything that you start when it starts to get a little bit difficult? And you know what? That's exactly where I was. I enjoyed my comfort more than I enjoyed growth. My discomfort wasn't so bad that I wanted to change until I started realizing, you know what? If I don't turn this ship around soon enough, things are going to get out of control, because I knew menopause, perimenopause, I knew it all was coming. And the further I stepped into perimenopause, I realized how difficult it was and that I had to do hard things. You can do hard things. You're just a little bit lazy with it. So if you follow this series, I'm going to give you tips on how to get out of that laziness. In fact, if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you my biggest prepping tip. Number 4, do you just want the easy button for weight loss? Like back in the days when you didn't have kids and a husband and a house and a career and all the things. I know it's hard to realize this, but sometimes we outgrow what used to be easy for us when we were younger. And the reason we've outgrown it is because we're not her anymore. You're not a single woman who can wake up and go to the gym or do all the things. Or you might be a single woman, and you might find you just don't have the energy because now you're in your 40s. Whatever the situation is, there is no easy button for weight loss. You actually have to dig in and do the work. Now, there are different theories on what the work is. And for me, the women that I coach in the Seekers Method, that kind of work is not in the gym. That kind of work is between your ears. It's the thought work. But again, everybody knows that they want to have just the easy button. They want to take a pill. They want to blend a shake. They want to show up on that level and then wake up tomorrow skinny. Not going to happen. 5th question to ask is, are you simply, when you think about weight loss and you start thinking about, like on video 2, I talked to you about how to choose the right meal plan for weight loss. Are you just overwhelmed with all of the options? I mean, there's so many out there. Cabbage soup diet, you could do paleo, you could do ketogenic, you could do, vegan, the possibilities are endless. The reality is like I said in the last few videos, any one of the meal plans, any one of the diets, if you will, even though I loathe that word, any one of them will work. You just have to work it. You have to realize that the battle in your ability to succeed is just in your thinking. And that's ultimately what we're going to get to in this one. Number 6 in this video. Number 6 is, are you afraid of missing your favorite foods? Now, in the last video, I talked to you a little bit about how everybody has a food story. For me, I had a food story around this, around my evening wine. I had to have it because it was how I, calmed down every night. A lot of the women I coach, their food story is, I don't want to give up cheese, and don't you dare tell me I can't have cream in my coffee. Well, you can have cream in your coffee when you coach with me. I love coffee just as much as the next woman. But are you are you afraid of missing out on your favorite foods? And if you are, that's just because you prefer to be comfortable. And you have to realize that your success is on the other side of getting out of your way with regard to comfort, okay? Comfort is something that is going to be there. It's attainable later on. Right now, you just have to go through a season of growth. The 7th question is, do you hate dieting because, number 1, you always lose willpower, and number 2, you always lose motivation, and number 3, you always get weak around your temptation? So that's the 7th question. You hate to diet, and the reason you hate dieting is you ask yourself, you know what, do I always lose my motivation? Do I always lose my willpower? Do I always get weak around temptation? And that's why you don't want to lose weight, because you hate it. And if you find yourself in the category of hating it, then you need to try something new. You are not who you used to be. You're probably bored. You're probably doing all the things that you used to do when you were younger, and it's time for something new. And that's okay, because new can be exciting. So if you take time to actually list out and answer these 7 questions or 7 situations, all of the answers are just basically your obstacles to weight loss. It's not the plan that you're, like if you're adopting Whole30, for example, or paleo, if you're having a hard time because of all of those 7 things we just went through and sticking to the program, it's not that you can't do paleo or you can't do ketogenic. It's because of your thinking. And I know that sounds absolutely absurd, but I've built a whole business model around it, and I'm proving it on a daily basis, and women's lives are being changed. The women that I coach, I don't teach them how to, with the exception of prepping their food, I don't teach them how to cook and count calories and do all the things. Instead, I teach them how to capture their thoughts and discipline their thinking so that they can think differently in order to succeed this time. It's all about your thinking about the plan and the process. You need to think about it differently, and you need to dive into and give focus and effort and planning into your focus or into your obstacles. That's where your freedom is. See, I realized that for me because I had a problem with I focused all completely on how much I loathed dieting and how much I hated working out. And that's all I would focus on every day, is how miserable I was and how hard it was, instead of focusing on how to actually overcome the difficulties and the thoughts that I was having. And I needed to learn how to correct my obstacles by coming up with a plan for each and every single one. And every week I coach the women in my weight loss group how to overcome their thinking by planning according to their obstacles, by planning in accordance to their weaknesses. So if you want to think differently, I want to give you a little example. So back in the day when I was weight loss resistant and insulin resistant and all of the things, and I was trying all the diets and failing miserably and just buying more and more shirts to hide my belly and fat pants to make my butt look smaller. I had stories that, you know what, I can't lose weight if it means giving up this. How many of us have this story? I can't give this up. I can't stop drinking the wine because that's the only way I can numb out and chill out every night. Well, this is what I teach women in my coaching group. Instead of pouring that glass of wine every night, find a swap, okay? I still, for the longest time, drank this out of this because psychologically, it meant something to me. Until I started realizing that I needed to switch my source of numbing out. I completely dove into my faith instead of going to what the world told me, which was a mommy sippy cup. Now, I gave that up because it was a hindrance to my fat. It kept me stuck as a prisoner in my own closet. I mean, today I'm wearing a shirt that I had before I ever had babies. I can't even, and you know what? It's probably out of style and I don't even care. All I know is it fits and I'm wearing it because I couldn't for the longest time. Another thing that I teach women, like I mentioned, is swapping. Identify what it is that you need to do and swap it. So for example, for me, a huge part of one of my obstacles was I would just say, I'll figure out what to eat tomorrow. I'm going to start paleo or I'm going to start keto tomorrow, and I would just figure it out because I didn't know how to prep. So now when I coach women, I don't necessarily tell them, this is the meal plan you need to follow. I say, come up with a meal plan that you need to follow that helps you to focus on God and not a number on the scale. Stop it with the world already. Instead, I teach them to do all of the things around making that weight loss plan work. And one of the things for me that tripped me up all the time was winging it with my food. Because every time I thought I would just make a good choice, I failed. Constantly. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I didn't realize, but I was waking up every morning hungover, even though it was only 1 or 2 glasses of wine, because my body never had a chance to be void of 1 or 2 glasses of wine a day. So instead of saying, you know what, every time one of my obstacles was every time, Sunday comes around, I don't want to prep. I don't have time. I have too many kids, blah, blah, blah. I got to prep all their stuff. I got to do all the things. I got to remodel my house like I'm doing right now. Instead of leaning into why I couldn't do it, I started to get courageous and started to ask myself, what is it about this obstacle that is causing me to be so stuck? And instead of focusing on why I couldn't do it, I started identifying the reasons why I should and why I should look at it separately or differently. And I started swapping things out slowly and steadily. And then I started prepping. And now I teach these women that I coach all the time to be rock star preppers. And it's not something they figure out overnight. They have to go slow and steady, but they get there because they lean into their obstacles. They identify where they have weaknesses, and where they have weaknesses, they come up with a plan. Okay? So that's what I'm encouraging you to do today. Let's see, what else did I want to say? Yeah, here's my best tip for prepping. I call it the sloppy prep. So basically, if you don't have time to do all of your prepping on one day, like today, I actually have time. I can't even believe it, but I get to have a prepping day today where I'm going to prep all the kids' lunches. I'm going to be prepping some pieces of our dinner throughout the week, and all of Harry's lunches for the week and all of my lunches for the week. And I do something called sloppy prep on with some high degree of frequency, and I encourage you to do it. And here's what you do. If it's Saturday night and you know that you need to prep for the week, but you don't have time to do a Sunday prep like I'm doing it. You know what? Maybe all you have is an hour. So, okay, this hour you decide you're going to make your grocery list. And then tomorrow you only have an hour and a half. Okay, tomorrow you pick up your groceries that you pre-ordered from the grocery store. You have the ground beef or the ground turkey or whatever out. So that way later on tonight after church or something, you can cook that later tonight. But right now in the remainder of your free time, you're just going to chop up all the vegetables. You're just going to chop them up and put them in a container. It's a sloppy prep step in the right direction. Then tonight when you get home, you can brown up the meat. Then you can mix it together with the vegetables. Tuck in the kids, put them to bed, finish the dishes, and put everything in your prep dishes. You can even do this over the course of 3 or 4 days. When I am coaching with my clients, I teach them how to do not only sloppy prep, but also midweek prep. A lot of times when I'm cooking like today, I will do a prep where I cook a big thing of ground turkey and a big thing of ground beef. And I'll divide it up and I'll say, okay, this is going to Harry's recipe and for lunches and dinners. And this segment of it is going to go to, a little goulash dish that I'm making for myself this week. That goulash dish I know will only get me till Wednesday. So then I plan pulling some chicken breast out of the freezer on Tuesday, because I know that Wednesday morning or Wednesday night, I'm going to be out of food. I prepped for myself to a certain point, and now I need to actually prep for the remainder of the week. And there are a lot of times too where on Thursday night, I might pull something out, and Friday night I cook the food and I prep what I'm going to eat over the weekend as well. You can see that what you put into this, you get out. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the way that it used to be when you were 21 and you were single or you were newly married or whatever the thing is. When you were successful and how you were successful at losing weight in the past might not work for you anymore. So you just need to get creative. So I encourage you, start leaning into, these 7 areas and identify where it is that you have obstacles. And where you have obstacles, get very creative on coming up with a plan for each of those obstacles. And then I want you to have a hard conversation with yourself. Are there areas where you're just flat out lazy? You don't want to do hard things, because I'm here to tell you that if you just lean into doing the hard thing, you're going to be taken to another level and you're going to switch your comfort for your possibility of what can be done if you would just believe a little bit. So I encourage you, if I can do this, you can do it too. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.